Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
He's put in so much effort, so he's obviously going to do his worst, Nicole snorted. She knew that Harvey had put on such a grand display to make things difficult for her. A simple ribbon-cutting ceremony was not all that he wanted. Are we just going to let things unfold like this? Patricia asked in a low voice. Since he wants to publicize it, let him go ahead. Free advertising shouldn't be wasted. Nicole's eyes darkened. Now that we're already working together, let's commence with the next stage of our plan. Of course, Patricia eagerly agreed. She figured that Nicole had her own reasons for working together with Harvey. If anything, Nicole would never let Harvey keep that smirk on his face. All the measures taken would be temporary. Soon after, they returned to the headquarters of the Riddle Corporation, and during lunch break, Nicole leaned back against a couch in her office, lost in thought. The setting sun was already beginning to set when Nicole and Jared returned to the Riddle residence, which seemed rather quiet and empty. Dad, Mom, why is it just the two of you? Nicole was puzzled as she looked at Daniel and Gloria. Where's Stanley, Nolan, and Tia? Stanley said he had a last-minute meeting tonight and won't be coming back for dinner. As for Nolan and Lana, they have returned to their room to play. Now that you're back, let's eat, Gloria explained. Oh, okay. Nicole replied, feeling relieved, and followed them into the dining room. After they had all sat down, Nicole came upon the observation that Daniel and Gloria did not look too good, so she asked, "What's wrong?" "We went to pay your grandpa a visit today," Daniel sighed. "He doesn't look too well. He's probably affected by Chloe's incident." Chloe? Nicole raised her eyebrows slightly. What's wrong with her now? To be precise, it's Miley, Gloria explained. Chloe's case is already clear as day, and the fake doctor even admitted to being bribed. However, Miley suddenly confessed, saying she was the one who had secretly orchestrated everything, and that Chloe knew nothing about it. Grandpa was furious when he found out. But now that Miley has confessed and the fake doctor has admitted that it was indeed Miley who had bribed him, Chloe is now off the hook. Daniel shook his head helplessly. On a side note, Chloe has been discharged from the hospital, he finished. Is that all? Nicole asked, not the least bit surprised by this outcome. She had already guessed that Chloe would be fine, but she did not expect Miley to take the blame. But now that she had heard about it, it seemed that this outcome was natural and expected. She could imagine that this must have been Damien and Chloe's idea. If their family had to make a scapegoat of someone this time, it could only be Miley. After all, Miley had lost the support of her own family, leaving her worthless. This was probably the least she could do for Chloe and Damien. Since Miley had taken the blame, Chloe would naturally be let off the hook. Still, it was clear that Chloe would not be able to sit tight. Dad, you should go and spend more time with Grandpa these days if you have nothing else to do, Nicole reminded Daniel. Although she had guessed that this might be the most probable outcome, it was evident that the people who Chloe had disappointed once more would likely feel that Chloe should be punished this time. I know, Daniel agreed and shot Nicole a glance. Are you okay? Nicole smiled. I'm fine. In fact, I would really be surprised if Chloe got arrested this time. After all, she had long suspected that Chloe would find a way to clear her name. That's good. Gloria issued a sigh of relief. I can't believe they're capable of doing such things. It seems like they've lost their minds. You've got to be more careful in the future. Don't worry, Mom, Nicole assured her. I know. She did not want Gloria to worry about her. Deep down, however, she knew that Chloe would not stop there since she had gone to such lengths to defraud them. Though Miley had taken the blame for her this time, there was no telling what would come next. As such, Nicole would find a way to corner Chloe, to make her face the punishment she rightfully deserved. And now that Everett was still abroad, the only person who might have remained in contact with him was Chloe. If they arrested Chloe now, they might sever the only lead they had to him. Nicole's eyes darkened when she thought about Everett. Ever since Lawrence had rescued a fleeing Everett from San Giotto, he had not shown up at all. This led her to wonder what sort of deal the two of them had made, and what Lawrence would stand to gain out of it. Not only did he take Everett away, he had also hidden him, sparing him further public and legal scrutiny. Her first school of thought was that Lawrence had not gotten what he wanted yet, and that Everett could help him out with it. All of a sudden, Jared's gentle voice snapped her out of it. "Eat up." In return, she looked at Jared and nodded. Yup. After dinner, Nicole and Jared went upstairs together. Daniel, however, was concerned as he watched her leave. "Is she really okay?" "She should be," Gloria said, having nothing but faith in Nicole. Whenever Nicole said she was fine, she would usually be, and then there was also Jared. Besides, if something really happened, Jared would never sit idly by. "That's good." Daniel shook his head in defeat. Initially, they thought they had caught Chloe in the act. But now that someone had willingly taken the blame on her behalf, it had become a bitter pill for them to swallow. Miley really is cruel to herself. Gloria sighed. Or perhaps Damien and Chloe are just ruthless. Daniel's gaze darkened slightly. Among the three of them, the father and daughter duo were the worst. Relatively speaking, it would make more sense for Damien and Chloe to retain their autonomy. As for Miley, she had to face the consequences regardless of whether she had done what she did voluntarily or under duress. Chloe has always hated Nicole and on multiple occasions, has even set her up. Now, well, forget it. It's been so many years, so it's sort of pointless to talk about it. I just hope that Nicole will remain safe. Gloria began praying, hoping that everything would turn out well for Nicole. She will be. Daniel comforted her with a gentle pat on the shoulder. Meanwhile, Nicole and Jared had just entered Nolan's room. Nolan and Lana were sitting in front of the computer, while the former seemed to be operating something on an interface. Upon hearing the door open, Lana spun around. Spotting her parents, she immediately ran over with a beaming smile. "Daddy, Mommy, you're back." Jared picked Lana up and asked, "What are you doing?" "Nolan is chatting with Godpa," Lana said, pointing to the computer screen. Nicole's gaze followed Lana's finger, and when she saw Nolan, she asked, "Leo is online?" "Yeah, Godpa said he is pretty free today and that he misses us, so he sent us a message," Nolan stated. "He also said he's busy over there and might not be able to come back anytime soon." "Did he mention anything else?" Nicole squinted her eyes, thinking that Lawrence would not usually be so nosy. Nolan shook his head and replied, "No, he only asked if you're back. Then, he asked about what Lana and I have been up to recently." "That's all." Nicole raised a brow, doubtful. So he was genuinely missing the kids. "Oh, Godpa also asked if you've been busy recently." Lana asked innocently. To that, Nolan added, "Yeah, I said you're not that busy. All you've got going for you is work." "Okay," Nicole said, and rested the case. She was worried that the kids might get suspicious if she prodded with more questions, so she changed the topic of conversation at once. "Is Leo still online?" Nolan looked at the screen. Then, he frowned and said, "Now he's not. He was online just a few seconds ago, so it was strange that he logged off all of a sudden." Nicole stood beside the computer and stared at Lawrence's message to Nolan. "I have some urgent matters I need to take care of. I'll talk to you soon." As for Nolan's last reply to Lawrence, it was, "Mom and Dad are home." Nicole grew more and more suspicious. At that point, she figured that Lawrence did not seem to be missing the kids only. Otherwise, there was little reason as to why he would go offline as soon as he knew that she had returned. Then, Nicole turned to look at Jared, who returned her gaze with the same cold, silent expression. "It's okay. I'm sure he'll talk to you again soon once he's free." Nicole quickly readjusted her expression and patted Nolan's head. "Yeah." Nolan logged off and tugged at Nicole. "Mom, do you know what Godpa is busy with?" Why do I feel that he has a lot in his mind? Why do you say so? Nicole asked Nolan. It's just that he seems hesitant whenever he talks about something. Nolan shrugged. If that's not the case, I guess I'm just overthinking it. I guess so. Even if Godpa is indeed facing some problems, he would not come to us for help. Nicole smiled and patted Nolan's head again. Now, go and play with your toys. Nolan, I want to play with those wooden blocks. Lana begged. Sure. Nolan agreed and quickly accompanied Lana for playtime. Seeing that the little ones were playing, Nicole looked up at Jared and said, "What do you think?" "I'll get Max to look into it." Jared narrowed his eyes. "Do you think something has happened on his side? Otherwise, why would he approach Nolan and ask him to spy on us?" Nicole frowned. No matter how mature Nolan was, he was still a 5-year-old kid. After thinking about it for a moment, Jared said, "Perhaps it has something to do with the watercress." The watercress? Nicole was confused. How would Nolan have any knowledge about it? Perhaps he got his hands on the watercress but was unable to activate the system. It was likely unable to detect and register the owner. Jared hazarded a guess. Can Nolan activate it? Nicole became nervous. He can't, right? Looking at her, Jared replied, "He can't do it, but you can." Me. Nicole frowned and muttered. "What you're trying to say is, he's trying to activate the crest through Nolan. Isn't he worried that it'll recognize me as the owner once I activate it?" It is exactly because of this very concern that he needs to use Nolan to achieve what he wants. Jared held Nicole's hands gently. At the end of the day, none of us have seen the watercress before. No one knows what it looks like either. The only way he could crack it and not catch your attention is by enlisting Nolan's help. If Lawrence approached Nicole directly, the outcome would be predictable. Nicole would be able to tell that the object in question was the watercress. In addition to that, Lawrence would have to forego his right to own the watercress. Hence he would not risk it. After hearing Jared's explanation, Nicole nodded. "You're right. I'll get Max to verify it." Jared's eyes became frosty. If that was indeed the truth, Jared would never allow Lawrence within an inch of the watercress. For someone as evil as Lawrence to own the watercress would spell unimaginable disaster for everyone else. As Jared and Nicole were discussing the issue, they did not realize that Nolan was keeping an eye on them. Although he appeared to be playing with Lana, Nolan had been eavesdropping, and had heard every single detail of their conversation. Nolan nervously bit his lips and balled his knuckle into a fist. He seemed to be hurt by that exchange. Meanwhile, at the secret base camp in Macrunia, Lawrence was glaring at the computer screen after he had logged off. "How was it? Did you not make it?" Everett asked impatiently. "We can't rush it. This needs to be done step by step." Lawrence rolled his eyes at Everett as he responded. "Are you sure you have more time? Things have come to this." Everett replied with dissatisfaction. Hearing that, Lawrence glared at him coldly and said, "You're in no position to instruct me on what to do. Besides, you'd be an idiot to underestimate that little kid. He's not an ordinary 5-year-old kid. You'll regret it in the future for underestimating him now." He kept mum thereafter. After a moment of silence, Lawrence said, "I have my own ways around this issue. You better not ruin it." "I know, but you should also know that we really do not have much time left," Everett said, whirled around, and left. Lawrence became furious as he glared at Everett's back. If it was not for the watercress, Lawrence would never have tolerated such behavior. In fact, Lawrence was sure that Nicole was well aware of Everett's whereabouts. Therefore, Nicole must also be suspicious of Lawrence now. At this point, it was all or nothing. Lawrence would suffer defeat if he failed to obtain the watercress. After Everett had left the room, all of the humility he had feigned disappeared right off the bat. If I was eligible to be the bearer of the watercress, what makes you think you would ever have the chance to own it? Just you wait. I'm not someone you can push around." Then, Everett headed to his room after he had gathered his thoughts. Sitting there in wait was all he had been doing for the past week. He could not go anywhere else, and if that was not torturous enough, he still had to put up with Lawrence's antiques on a daily basis. When is this going to end? Everett wondered. Everett was annoyed as all of these thoughts raced across his mind. However, he knew that it would be in his best interest to tolerate whatever Lawrence threw at him. Once Lawrence, Jared and Nicole had been weakened in their war with each other, Everett would seize the opportunity to snatch the crest. The next morning, the sun shone bright and warm. After breakfast, Nolan and Lana prepared for school. However, Tia did not show up, and as things stood, the kids would be running late for school. Tia will be okay, right? She's never late. Lana mumbled in concern. Mom, should we check on Tia? Nolan began to worry. Just as Nicole was about to walk over to them, she saw Stanley approaching them. Seeing this, Nicole could not help but frown. Stanley, the kids are going to be late. We'll send them to school now, but you should know that Tia is not around. I'm not sure if something has happened to her. Can you please check on her? Stanley paused for a moment before replying. All right. Please let me know if there are any updates, Nicole requested, and brought the kids into the car. Knowing that Stanley was going out to look for Tia, Nolan and Lana did not bother to follow him. Instead, they got into the car and went to school right away. Meanwhile, Stanley had just entered the house in the backyard, which was unusually quiet. Tia. Stanley called out to her. Mr. Riddle, is that you? Tia asked, her voice hoarse. Stanley could already tell that she was weak, and upon hearing Tia's voice emanating from the room, he rushed over. As soon as he opened the door, he saw Tia lying in bed, looking ill, causing him to frown and ask, "What happened?" "I think I'm down with a cold." Before Tia could finish her sentence, she began to cough. Seeing that Tia was in such a terrible condition, Stanley walked over and placed his hand on Tia's forehead. She was indeed having a bad fever. "Your body is very warm. I'll bring you to the hospital," he said as he carried Tia in his arms. "Sir, no dash." Tia wanted to stop him, but Stanley had already brought them out of the room by then. "Grandma, Tia is sick. I'm bringing her to the hospital," Stanley explained as Mrs. Wallace Sr., who had heard the commotion, approached them. Seeing what was going on, Mrs. Wallace Sr. replied, "You should hurry. She's already sick, but she still insisted on preparing breakfast for me." In the end, she did not eat at all. Then, her headache became too much for her to bear, so she took some medicine and returned to her room to rest. Hearing that Tia had only taken some over-the-counter medication to treat herself, Stanley quickly brought Tia out. "All right, we're going now." Soon, they arrived at the hospital and the doctor did a checkup on Tia. "You should have brought her in earlier. If her fever wasn't treated, she would have developed pneumonia. How could you be so careless as someone's boyfriend?" the doctor reprimanded. "Doctor, he's not my boyfriend," Tia explained while shivering through the fever. She did not even dare to look at Stanley. "He's not." The doctor shot him a glance. "He seems very worried though." Tia became even more shy after that, and so, she shifted the topic of conversation. "I've taken the medication. I guess I should recover soon. You'll need to get a drip and stay here for further observation," the doctor disagreed, feeling a little annoyed. Her situation was pretty dire and yet, she did not seem to care. "All right, we'll let her stay here then," Stanley replied. The doctor then proceeded with the diagnosis. By the time Stanley had returned from the admissions counter, Tia had been placed into the ward and was already strapped to an IV drip. Looking at Tia who was lying down on the bed, Stanley got even more worried. "How do you feel now? Are you still dizzy?" "It's not that bad," Tia replied, her voice still a little hoarse. "Drink some water." Stanley poured a glass of warm water for Tia. "Thank you, sir," she said. Then Stanley replied in a gentle voice, "You're welcome. Don't worry too much about Grandma. I'll get someone to take care of her." all you have to do is to rest and recover. You've done a lot, Stanley. I really appreciate you. Tia was a little touched. The one person she could not stop worrying about was Mrs. Wallace Sr., but as it turned out, Stanley had arranged for someone to take care of her. Don't worry too much about it. Just get some rest, he assured, and walked over to the bedside, where he sat down and accompanied Tia. However, Tia proceeded to chase him away. Sir, I can deal with this on my own. You should head to work. It's fine, he said. Tia's situation was not stable yet, so he would not be at peace with the idea of leaving her alone in the hospital. I'm really fine by myself. There are nurses here too. If I need anything, the nurses will assist me. Don't delay any of your work, Tia argued, feeling embarrassed. She had troubled Stanley enough already, so she could not allow herself to disrupt his work schedule anymore. I don't have anything to do today, Stanley replied calmly. He could determine what his workload was and how it was done, so her concerns were invalid in this regard. Hearing this, Tia was rendered speechless. She did not know how to persuade Stanley to leave anymore. Her intentions of not wanting to interfere with his work were genuine. But there was another reason, and it was that his presence made her feel uncomfortable. You haven't had breakfast, right? I'll go and buy something. Stanley could sense that Tia was beginning to feel uncomfortable, so he got up and left. Tia quietly heaved a sigh of relief. Seeing Stanley leave, her energy seemed to improve. Tia! A loud yell sounded. As Tia looked up, she was shocked by what she saw. Sir, what are you doing here? I've told you before, don't call me sir, Martin said, sounding annoyed as he entered the room. Just like how you call Nicole, you can call me Martin. Martin. It sounded a bit forced, but Tia called him by his name. Martin scanned their surroundings and saw that no one was there. Tia, you're sick. Are you here on your own? It was Stanley who brought me here, Tia explained. Martin immediately understood the situation. Oh, so it's Stanley. Where is he? He could not have possibly dropped her off and left her alone, right? He went to get breakfast. Tia seemed to be uncomfortable. Those words that she had just uttered sounded wrong on a certain level. While they chatted, Stanley returned. He was shocked to find Martin there. See he's back with breakfast in hand. I won't interrupt your mealtime then. As Martin spoke, he was getting ready to leave. He paused to inform Tia, if you need any help, you can always get the nurses to call me. Tia was shocked. Call you? Are you working here? I'm here for an exchange program that's going on for 2 days. So I'm stationed here, Martin explained. Oh, I see. It was no wonder why she bumped into Martin. Martin smiled and turned to look at Stanley. He gave Stanley a nod and left. Stanley could not help but frown. But he soon regained his composure. He handed the breakfast to Tia and said, make sure you eat something. You can't function on an empty stomach. Thank you, sir. How did he know that you're here? Asked Stanley, pretending to be casual. Who? Tia was stunned for a moment before she realized what he meant. You mean Martin? Stanley could not help but narrow his eyes. She's referring to him by his first name already? Yeah, he said, trying his best to appear calm. I guess he was passing by and saw me by coincidence, Tia explained. After all, she had just found out that Martin was here for a program. He would not have known that she was admitted to the hospital as well, so everything was a pure coincidence. Hearing this, Stanley did not question her further. Instead, he changed the topic of conversation. Here, have some food. Sir, would you like some? Tia asked. Hearing the word sir, Stanley frowned. I've already eaten. You can have it, said Stanley, getting up and sitting on the sofa. He wanted to give Tia some personal space, hoping that she would be less nervous. Tia bit her lip lightly. She picked up a fork and began to eat. The food made her feel warm and her body felt lighter. Her face also seemed to be relaxed. Stanley looked at Tia happily. The look in his eyes made him seem deep in thought. At Riddle Corporation, Nicole arrived at the company building and entered her office. "Ms. Riddle, we've made some progress in our project with Ellison Group," said Patricia, placing a document in front of Nicole. Looking at the details on the document, Nicole seemed to be satisfied. "Great, it looks good. Will Harvey follow our plan?" Patricia asked worriedly. After all, he was not a kind-hearted person if he could get his hands on the Ellison Group. "It doesn't matter. If he notices it, we'll come up with another plan. If he doesn't realize it, we'll just act according to plan." Nicole smiled coldly. If Harvey wanted to create more problems for her, Nicole would let him make the first move. She wanted to see if Harvey still had the energy for that. "Noted. I'll send someone to keep an eye on him," Patricia replied firmly. By keeping an eye on Riddle Corporation, it would ease their plan for what's to come. Nicole placed the document to one side and turned to look at Patricia. "How's Chloe?" "Oh, she has been discharged from the hospital," Patricia answered. "She recovered pretty quickly," Nicole said in a mocking tone. Miley had successfully entered. Of course, there'd be no reason for Chloe to continue her act in the hospital. Patricia snorted. Everyone knew clearly what Chloe's tactics were. Make sure to keep an eye on her. She won't sit still. Nicole's eyes were cold. Noted. For someone who was evil, Chloe would never back down until she achieved her goal. "You may leave now." Then, Nicole grabbed the document beside her and began to focus on her work. Patricia turned around and left to work on Nicole's commands. Meanwhile, Chloe was sitting in the living room while appearing to be deep in thought. Hearing the sound of footsteps coming from the door, she looked over to see who it was. Her voice immediately turned cold. "How was it?" "She admitted to all the charges and was taken into custody," Kelly said softly. "What about the rest?" Chloe gritted her teeth. "Basically, everything has been solved. With a confession and the forged doctor's letter, you're safe," Kelly continued to explain. Chloe took a deep breath. "Now that things have ended up this way, we'll have to go with the flow." Chloe could not get into any more trouble. If she did, all of her plans would be futile. Her family would lose their chance, including her. Kelly hesitated for a moment and reminded Chloe in a soft voice. "Miss Chloe, it's actually quite easy to tackle Nicole." Giving her the side eye, Chloe asked, "What do you mean?" "Well, you see, we don't really have much support because your family has lost their status and everything. But Nicole has everything. As long as we get a hold of the thing she cares about the most, she might not be the same," Kelly whispered sneakily. "You mean?" Chloe thought about it. "Find out Nicole's weakness." "That's right. The more she cares about it, the more beneficial it is for us." Kelly's eyes were glimmering. It seemed like Chloe understood what she wanted to express. Chloe gave it some thought and nodded satisfactorily. "You're right. If that's the case, I guess Nicole wouldn't be able to frame me. We'll see if she'll give up everything." As the sun set, Nicole and Jared picked their children up. When the kids heard that Tia had been admitted to the hospital, they requested to visit her. As Nicole was also worried about Tia's condition, she agreed to their request. They bought some fruits and went to the hospital ward. Nicole. Tia was surprised to see Nicole and the family there. They went out of their way to visit her. "How are you feeling now?" Nicole asked in concern. "I'm feeling much better now," Tia replied. "Ms. Tia, I'm glad you're feeling better. We're all worried about you." Nolan and Lana surrounded Tia by the bedside, wearing sad expressions. Tia smiled. She seemed to be more energetic when she saw the little kids. "I'm fine now. You guys don't have to worry about me. You see, I took the drip and some medicine. I'm all better now," she said to comfort them. "Ms. Tia, please recover soon. We prefer it when you fetch us for school," said Lana, shaking Tia's arms lightly. "Sure. I'll be out of this hospital tomorrow. Then, I'll be able to fetch the two of you." Tia smiled warmly. Nolan noticed that Tia was alone, so he casually asked, Where's Uncle Stanley? Isn't he supposed to be here to take care of you? He had to pick up a call just now, so he went out, Tia explained. She only knew that Stanley stepped out to take a call. She did not have any further details. Could Uncle Stanley be facing any problems? Lorna asked innocently. Nolan frowned and thought. Even if Uncle Stanley had any problems, he shouldn't leave Ms. Tia alone. What's wrong with him? What a huge crowd we have here. A loud yell sounded in the room. Stanley brought a lady into the room. Looking at the guest, Nolan and Lorna exclaimed, "Ms. Jean." Nicole knew that it was Cherry Jean based on the voice. She began to observe Cherry's body language. So it was Cherry who called Stanley on the phone. Then, he brought her over. Does he really have feelings for this girl now? Mr. Johnston, Ms. Riddle. Cherry obviously recognized Nicole and Jared. So, she was very serious as she greeted them. Ms. Jean. Although it was Nicole's first time meeting her, she was sure that this lady was Cherry Jean. You're being too formal. You may refer to me as Cherry. She smiled and explained, I'm here to visit Tia, but I didn't expect to see a crowd. You knew that she's ill? Nicole asked casually. Yeah, I found out during our call today, Cherry replied calmly. Nicole turned to look at Stanley. He quickly explained, she called Tia. She called me just now because she could not find the ward. Confused, Nicole blinked her eyes. Since when did Tia and Cherry become friends? The situation at that moment was messy. Nicole, Jared, you're here to visit Tia? Martin's voice sounded. Nicole looked back at the door and exclaimed, Martin, what are you doing here? I'm here for an exchange program these few days. But I coincidentally bumped into Tia, Martin explained as he walked in. I'm getting ready to get off work now, but I thought of visiting Tia. If she's fine, I'm going to head home. Oh, I see. Nicole smiled. We're also here to visit Tia. Especially Nolan and Lorna. They were worried about Tia. They're used to Tia bringing them to school, so there's no doubt they're dependent on her. Martin smiled and approached Tia's bedside. How are you feeling? I feel much better now. I could be discharged tomorrow, Tia replied. May I ask who this is? Cherry found Martin familiar, but she just could not recognize him. His name is Martin, and he's in the medical profession, Tia introduced. She did not mention Martin's background as he did not like to brag about it outside. Her name is Cherry Stanley's. Tia paused and changed what she was going to say. She's Stanley's friend. Tia originally wanted to say Cherry was Stanley's girlfriend, but Tia did not know if Stanley wanted to make the information public, so she paused before saying it out loud. Hi. Cherry instantly remembered when she heard Martin's name, but she played along and did not expose his hidden identity. Hi there, Martin responded, looking at Stanley meaningfully. Noticing Tia's pause, Martin analyzed that even if Cherry were not Stanley's girlfriend, Cherry would not be Stanley's normal colleague either. It was the first time Martin saw a girl together with Stanley. Martin had no interest in identifying the relationship between Stanley and Cherry. He was just curious since Stanley used to take good care of Tia. Martin wondered if it was just pure concern for Tia. Cherry was also silently eyeing Martin. Tia called him by his name. What relationship do they have? Tia seemed to give him special treatment and called his name. Ms. Jean, thank you so much for visiting me. Actually, I feel all better now, Tia thanked. Snapping back to reality, Cherry chuckled. Don't sweat it. We're friends after all. She then placed a fruit basket on Tia's bedside. Here you go, a little something for you. Thank you. One more thank you, and we're not friends anymore, said Cherry, acting angry. Tia replied uneasily. That's not what I meant, Ms. Jean. Oh, come on. Stop calling me Ms. Jean, call me Cherry instead. Cherry laughed. That's what my friends call me. Nicole saw through Cherry's every move and she kind of liked her personality. Well, Tia trailed off. If Cherry turned out to be Stanley's girlfriend, It wouldn't be right for me to call her by her name directly. Why the hesitation? Do you not like me? Cherry asked seriously. If so, she would not force Tia to be friends. Oh, that's not it. I just thought since you're Sir Stanley's friend, I should dash before Tia could finish, Cherry interrupted. Come on. If this is the reason, you don't have to worry about it. Not to mention, someone hates it when you call him that, more so than me. Ha! Tia did not understand Cherry's underlying meaning and looked at her in confusion. Stanley, on the other hand, understood instantly and stopped Cherry. It's about time. I'll see you out. You're taking care of her tonight? Cherry teased meaningfully, raising her eyebrow. Ms. Jean, don't get him wrong. Sir Stanley isn't Dash, knowing Tia was going to explain, Stanley interrupted. Yes, I'm staying back tonight. Cherry said complacently, with her eyebrow raised. Then I won't bother you guys further. Bidding farewell to everyone, Cherry gladly started to leave. She called out to Stanley. Well, I'll be troubling you to see me out then. No problem. Come on, Stanley said. Then he left with Cherry. Well, that was... Martin turned to Nicole after noticing the weird atmosphere between Cherry and Stanley. He looked eager for gossip. Nicole had no choice but to disappoint him. Cherry Jean. Martin pressed his lips together and responded with a wry smile. All right then. Nicole did not want to dwell on the topic, so she remained silent. Nicole, it's getting late. You should head home. I'll be fine by myself. Tia bit her lip. She hesitated before saying, Nicole, could you take Stanley with you? Tia did not want Cherry to get the wrong idea, but she could not convince Stanley to leave. So she had to rely on Nicole to get Stanley home. I think it's best to let Stanley decide that for himself. Nicole shrugged. She did not want to make decisions on Stanley's behalf and have him blame her for it later. The situation today unraveled a mystery in her heart, and it was up to fate to decide what would happen in their future. Tia looked surprised at Nicole, not expecting Nicole to reject her suggestion. Okay then, we'll take our leave. You should rest properly. With that reminder, Nicole and Jared ushered their children. Bye-bye, Tia. Bye, kids. Tia watched as Nicole and Jared left with the kids. Her brain still could not grasp the situation. So Stanley is staying back tonight to take care of me? Won't Cherry misunderstand the situation? I'll accompany you until Stanley comes back, Martin said after seeing Tia alone. Thanks, but I'm fine on my own, Tia said, sounding frustrated. She knew everyone was concerned about her, but her situation was not serious. She felt that she could manage on her own. Not to mention that Stanley had been here all day and even stayed the night. If Cherry misunderstood this, Tia could be guilty of ruining Stanley's potential marriage. Are you worried about Stanley? Martin asked softly, looking at Tia's troubled expression. Yeah, Tia replied before catching herself. Blushing slightly, she clarified. I mean, I'm just worried about how I can clear things up if Cherry misunderstands Stanley because of this. So is Cherry Stanley's girlfriend? Martin asked, tilting his head and seizing Tia's reaction. She isn't, Stanley's voice sounded, holding a hint of anger. You're back, Martin said, standing up after hearing Stanley. Then my job here is done. I'll leave Tia to you now. See ya. Take care. Then he approached Tia's bedside. He took a fruit knife to slice an apple for her. He had no intention of escorting Martin out. Embarrassed, Tia looked at Martin and said, It's getting late. I'm sure you haven't had your dinner. You should go back. I'll come to visit you tomorrow, Martin promised. He looked at Stanley meaningfully before leaving. The atmosphere in the room suddenly dropped, and Martin smirked at the change. The atmosphere was awkward, with only Stanley and Tia left in the room. Eat some apples. Stanley regained his composure and handed the apple to Tia.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.